Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Chris Martinez, and of course, I am the host of Operation Agency Freedom. And in this episode, I am going to be talking about something that is probably going to get you really excited, which is how to grow your monthly recurring revenue to 6 figures in 60 days or less. So hopefully you already have monthly recurring revenue in your agency already. If you don't, or if you want to increase that, it is definitely one of the best decisions you can make. Monthly recurring revenue not only makes your agency way more valuable, but it also makes your life a lot easier when you know that you have revenue coming in through the door every single month. And I can speak to that specifically because in July, we had one of our slowest sales months that we've had in a very, very long time. And talking to lots of other agency owners, they also had a really, really slow July as well. And what was great for me, and that helped me to sleep well at night, is knowing that every single day we had thousands of dollars of payments coming through the door. So even if we didn't bring in another client that month, I knew that I was going to be able to pay all my staff. I was going to be able to pay all my expenses. I was going to be able to pay myself, obviously, and the company was going to be okay. Was it painful that we didn't have more sales coming in? Of course. But because I had the monthly recurring revenue coming in, I was able to also operate a little bit differently in my mindset. So I wasn't freaking out, kind of just trying to survive. And so therefore, I believe I was able to solve problems a lot better because, in my opinion, if you're just trying to feed yourself at the end of the day, then you're typically not in the right headspace to be able to solve bigger problems and be a good CEO. So that's one of the, or I should say, those are two of the biggest reasons why you should be passionate about monthly recurring revenue, or MRR, as I like to call it. So today I'm going to talk about 4 or 5 reasons or ways that you can grow your monthly recurring revenue. And honestly, it does not take a long time. I'm in the Facebook groups for agency owners, and I see a lot of people who are struggling to get to like $10,000 a month in revenue. It does not have to take that long. I mean, and I'm going to show you how to do it in 60 days or less. So if you are struggling to sell monthly recurring revenue in your agency, then you definitely want to listen to this podcast. If you are looking to grow your monthly recurring revenue, then you're definitely going to want to listen to this podcast. And finally, if you want to learn how to fulfill your monthly recurring projects a lot better, then you're definitely going to want to listen to this episode. So at the end of the episode, make sure that you visit our website, dudeagency.io, where you're going to find all the show notes, plus any links that I mentioned or anything that I talk about in this episode. And then if you enjoy this episode, make sure that you subscribe so that you are always the first to know when a new episode is released. So with that being said, let's head over and start the full episode. All right, guys, welcome back. And I'm very excited to talk about this. Now, selling monthly recurring revenue, it's easier to teach about monthly recurring revenue than it is for me to talk about it or to say the word. But I've always been pretty good at selling monthly recurring revenue. In my agency, we sold every package included an MRR product. And obviously with Dude, the majority of our revenue comes from monthly recurring revenue. So I think I'm pretty darn good at that. But honestly, in the agency space, and this is not the first time that I've said this, in the agency space, selling is actually the easy part. Operations and being able to fulfill projects, that is the hardest part. But that's also where you make or lose all of your money. So as you listen to this episode where I'm talking about sales for the most part, which is actually not something that I talk about very often, I want you to know that everything that I'm teaching you, it is actually a lot easier to sell these types of products if you follow this framework that I get you or that I'm giving you today. So just to give you some back, there's a little bit of history about me. Obviously I started an agency way back in 2012. And I grew that agency. We had at our peak, I think it was like right around 220 something clients. So it was a lot of clients. We had everybody was on some sort of monthly recurring revenue product, and then transitioned over to Dude and started running Dude in 2017. And again, the same thing. We always had monthly recurring revenue. So I learned very early on how valuable monthly recurring revenue is to your agency. And as I mentioned in the intro, It makes your life a whole lot easier. It helps you sleep better at night, knowing that money's coming through the door every single day. And on top of that, your agency will be worth a lot more money in the long term. So, if you're listening to this and you have peaks and valleys in your revenue, if you have a hard time fulfilling these monthly recurring products that you're selling now, if you have clients that are canceling before 12 months, I'm very, very passionate about this. You got to be able to manage your churn. So if your clients are not lasting longer than 12 months, then I want you to take notes as you're listening to this. And of course, if you have questions, you can always reach out to me and I'll try and get back to you as fast as possible and answer any questions. So the first question that I have for you guys, or that you might be wondering, is like, why is monthly recurring revenue so freaking difficult? Why is it so difficult to sell? Why is it so difficult to fulfill? I have 4 quick answers for you, right? So the first one is that you're not positioning it correctly. And I'm going to answer all these questions, by the way. The second one is that you don't have good processes to fulfill your monthly recurring revenue products. The third is that you're not priced appropriately. So out of the gate, you're not going to be able to make money. Now, you probably, took your best guess as to what you should be pricing, but there is a formula that you can use to figure out the appropriate pricing for what you want to offer. And the final one is that your clients' expectations are different. And so you're basically not meeting their expectations and they're canceling. So these are the 4 main problems that I see with with agencies selling monthly recurring revenue. And of course, I'm going to give you the answers. Okay. So the first one, let's talk about positioning. So you are not positioning your monthly recurring revenue products correctly. The solution here is that when you're positioning these products, you need to position them in terms of not not selling hours and deliverables, right? What I mean, not saying, if you pay me on a monthly recurring rate, instead of me charging you $150 an hour, I'm going to pay you $100 an hour. That doesn't work. The second one is deliverables. If you pay me X amount of money, then every month you're going to get X amount of deliverables. That is not the proper way to position your MRR products. What you want to do is you want to sell the team of experts that's going to help to implement, and you want to sell the outcomes and or results that your clients are going to get. So let me explain that a little bit more. I love ongoing support as an MRR product, as a monthly recurring revenue product. Some of you guys call it website care plans. I call it ongoing support. But what you don't want to do, like I mentioned earlier, is you don't want to say, I'm just going to give you, I'm going to give you 4 hours a month, and instead of me charging you $600, I'm going to give it to you for $400. That does not work. Why? Because it commoditizes you. You're automatically setting the stage that you are worth X amount. Well, what is your client going to do? They're going to go and they're going to say, well, I found this other person that can do it for $75 a month, right? So you've commoditized your hours. The other thing when it comes to deliverables, right? If you say, I'm going to give you, you pay me $300 a month and I'm going to give you 30 deliverables. Well, obviously each deliverable is now worth $10 right out the gate. You've positioned your deliverable as a commodity. So of course your client is going to go out and they're going to look for somebody who can do it for $8 a month or $8 a deliverable. They're going to find somebody else who can do it for cheaper. If you position your MRR product like that, you're always going to get clients who are going to go out there and they're going to shop and they're going to find somebody to do it cheaper because you didn't set the stage properly. So what you want to do is when you're selling your MRR product, first thing you want to talk about is the team. So the implementation part of it is really freaking hard. Let's say that your client were to go out there and build a team, bare bones digital marketing team. So I'm going to say that they're going to need a web developer. They're going to need a designer. They're going to need a project manager. And most likely they're going to need a traffic person. So by my estimation, that team, bare bones team, if you hire them in the United States, you're looking at least, and these are numbers that I pulled from actual websites, like hiring websites in the United States. That bare bones team is like $350K a year in salaries plus benefits, right? So the fact that you are giving your client a team is a huge value, at least $350,000 a year, right? So that's the first thing you want to talk about is the team to implement all these things. The second thing that you want to talk about is the return on investment or the results that your clients are going to get when they invest in your monthly recurring revenue product. So you sell SEO, right? Let's say you charge $3,000 a month. What is that $3,000 a month going to get them in terms of a financial return on investment? Are we looking at $30,000? Are we looking at $50,000, $60,000? You always want to emphasize the ROI. What are the results that they're going to get? So one, you have team. The second one, you have results. even if it's a design package, right? Let's say you're designing a bunch of, social media graphics. What do those social media graphics, or what are those social media graphics going to deliver to your client in terms of a return on investment? So if you emphasize those two things in your monthly recurring revenue products, you will massively increase your sales. Number two is you are pricing. We're going to talk about pricing, right? So you're not pricing things appropriately. The biggest problem is that you're not pricing, or that you are pricing without any data. So obviously the solution to this is that you're pricing with data. But what kind of data? You want to look at your cost of goods sold, and you want to look at your net income to help you determine the price that you should charge. So this is kind of like an art and a science. So you probably have an idea of what you want to sell as a monthly recurring product. I don't know how many of you guys are out there that are listening to this have ever actually looked at the cost of what it takes to get those deliverables out the door. So you have to know your cost of goods sold in order to price these things out appropriately. And you also have to have a target when it comes to net income. So like your net profit. So at least 20%. So when you know that, then you can make a really, really good decision as to what to price things out at. So how do you know your cost of goods sold? So the majority of us are using some sort of software to deliver these services or these products, these monthly recurring products out to our clients. Let's say you use SEMrush, right? So that's a software that goes into COGS. The biggest one though is hours. It's labor, specifically production labor hours. So you must have your team members track their time, and they need to track their time for every single client and every single deliverable. That's the only way that you're truly going to know if you sell it for 1,000, that it's costing you X amount to get that thing out the door. Once you do that and you start to have the data and you know what you should be or what it's going to take to get the project out the door, then you can basically determine if you've chosen the right price, or if it's even a product that you should be offering. Because sometimes, and I see this far too often, agencies have priced out a monthly recurring revenue product, and the only one who can do the work is the owner. And that is not the way to run a business, because as the owner, we want to free up our time to do the things that we need to be doing. Most likely, you don't need to be doing production labor work. So sometimes you have to go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, I got to get that out. I can't offer that service anymore. I'm never going to be able to scale. It's way too much work. I cannot find the people to be able to complete the work. So you need to take that into consideration. Just as a general rule, I think that your cost of goods should be no more than 30% of the revenue. So if you're selling something for $1,000 a month, you need to find a way to get that product delivered to your client, and so that the client is happy and gets amazing results for $300 a month. That's 30% of 1,000. If you're a math genius, you obviously know that. If you're not a math genius, just pull out your calculator, take whatever you're charging, times it by 0.3. That's your budget that you have to be able to get those products out the door. Now, then what you do after you've established what the budget is, you got to have everybody track their hours. And that way you can make sure that you're actually using the budget that you have set forth. And then if you've never used a pro forma, I highly recommend that you use a pro forma. We have one in all of our trainings that we give to our our clients, and we show them how to use it. It's the best financial planning tool that you could ever have in your arsenal. So definitely use a pro forma if you have one. The third problem that I see is that you guys are breaking your backs trying to fulfill these client projects. It doesn't have to be like that, just so that you know. The key to fixing this one is that you create SOPs for all of your deliverables. I know that when I talk about SOPs, like most people cringe. I love creating SOPs. I think it's one of the things that I'm naturally pretty good at, is just creating SOPs and processes, because that's just the way that my mind works. So the key though, when it comes to figuring out which SOPs to offer and ultimately like what MRR products to offer, is that you want to offer things that have the highest perceived value to the client and the lowest cost of goods. So essentially it's the easiest things to create, but it also has the highest perceived value with the client. Once you identify what those things are, your life is going to get so much easier. Why do we offer highest perceived value and lowest COGS? The reason is because you don't need to offer something that's like so crazy difficult to create. You don't need to offer that as your monthly recurring revenue service. I feel like a lot of the times agency owners feel like if I am not struggling to produce this, then I don't deserve to charge the client X amount of dollars. I want you to erase that from your mindset. It doesn't matter. What matters is the perception that your clients have, and obviously if you're getting them results. That's what matters most. Get the client's results, and then if it doesn't have to cost you a whole lot, like it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to get that product out the door, to get that deliverable out the door, everybody wins. So when you look at your monthly recurring products from that perspective, you can very easily find things that are really, really important to your customers, that get them great results, and that also don't cost you a lot of money. Once you have those things, you basically just systematize and productize all of those deliverables. It's super easy to create templates once you have those products identified and you've created those checklists. So super simple one that I would recommend is before and after graphics. So if you're in like a fitness niche, or if you're in a home services niche, this is something that every single business owner knows that they need. They probably already have an archive of photos of before and afters, and yet they never freaking do it. Like those before and after graphics sell the product better than any sales pitch. If you're like a fitness person, you got a gym, or you got some sort of fitness campaign that you run, 90-day challenge or whatever. All those before and afters of the person when they're out of shape, and then 90 days later when the person's like shredded, that sells for you. You don't even have to know how to do copywriting. Just put up a bunch of those before and after graphics and you'll be a millionaire. It's something that every client knows that they need, and they never do it. So you can very easily offer that to your clients. High perceived value, very low cost of goods sold. You can have templates for all those before and after graphics. They can literally just upload all the pictures into a Google Drive, and then you just take it from there. And imagine if you turned out 10 of those a month for your customers. It takes literally like 15 seconds to do each one. Your clients will be overjoyed though. They don't care that it only took you 15 seconds. What they care about is that they finally have these things available, and then you can also post them on the website because you have a website care plan with them. And boom, they start marketing these things. It turns into more leads and more sales every single time. So the last part that I'm going to talk about when it comes to the SOPs is that when you're designing your SOPs, you want to make sure that you can plug anybody into that deliverable process, and anybody can do it. That you don't have to be an Einstein to be able to get these things done. I've seen this happen a lot, especially with very, very intelligent developers and software engineers. So they'll build out this process. God, you need a PhD in computer science to be able to actually do the work. So you need to be able to dumb down your SOPs for that deliverable so that you can very easily find somebody to do that work. Very, very important. All right. So we're on to the fourth one, churn. So I know that there are a lot of you guys out there who are wondering what is a good churn rate. Hopefully you know what churn is. Churn is clients canceling. You cannot scale a business if your clients are churning. I'm just telling you, if they're canceling in 12 months or less, then you have a big, big problem on your hands. Now, some of you guys might be shaking your heads and being like, my clients only last for 3 months. Well, guess what? You need to pay close attention to what I'm about to say. The way that you solve this churn problem is a concept that we created 2 years ago that actually helped us to win an award last year for most innovative company. We got second place technically. It's a concept called Bridge, Connect, and Deliver. So what is Bridge, Connect, and Deliver? It's ultimately one of the foundational concepts that has helped Dude to grow the way that we have. So Bridge, Connect, and Deliver. I'm going to start with Bridge. So Bridge ultimately means that you create and have open lines of communications with your clients. So typically, I'm going to use myself as an example. When you outsource, right? Because we're kind of in the outsourcing business, even though I hate that term. When you outsource, it's usually there's somebody in another country on the other side of the world. You don't ever talk to that person in real time. There's like crazy hours where like you're having to stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning. And I call that the gap. I call that a communication gap. Every business out there has a gap. It varies in terms of what creates that gap in your business, but every business has that gap. You and your agency, you have a gap between you and the clients. So Bridge ultimately means creating eliminating that gap. So you bridge that gap. So what do we do to be able to do that here at Dude? So we talk to our clients every single week when they just get started. We have like a weekly stand-up meeting with the customers. We give them daily updates. We have a Slack channel that we can talk to them in real time because we only work with agencies in North America. So there's obviously the same time zone. And so we're talking to them constantly. There are many different ways that they can communicate with us. So there's the weekly calls, there's the daily updates through the portal, there's the Slack channel, there is inside of the portal itself, there's also email communication. There's like 5 ways that they can communicate with us in an instant. So if they have something that comes up and they need to talk to their team leader right now, literally just hit them up on Slack and they'll be able to respond in 5 minutes. It's such a great experience. So that's the first thing that you have to do. So look at your own agency and determine where are the gaps in communication and how can I fix those. Once you've done that, the next thing is you have to connect. So connect ultimately means that you are building trust with your customers and your customers know that you have their back and that you will do everything humanly possible to ensure that they are successful. Part of this, one of the easiest ways that you can build trust ultimately is to be very, very consistent with your communication. So when you start to bridge, you need to be consistent with how you guys are communicating. That is the key. Like your clients need to know that you understand them, that you care about them, that everybody on the team cares about them. Once you have that connection, then your customers are like, okay, I know that no matter what happens, these guys aren't going to leave me hanging. They're going to help me out. So that's connect, which ultimately is building trust. And then the third one, deliver. This is the easiest one. In my business, deliver to us means hitting deadlines and doing a very good QA. That's really what it comes down to, because nobody can freaking do it. Nobody can hit deadlines and nobody can do a good job of quality of QA and QC. It's insane. So ultimately, you have to deliver results to your customers. That's all you got to do. Get them the results that you promised them. Do what you say you're going to do. Always, always do that. There's no compromise on that. You have to deliver. You have to do what you say you're going to do. So when you do those 3 things, bridge, connect, and deliver, you will never lose a customer again. I promise you. You have to do it all the time. It's non-negotiable. You can't be like, I bridge, connect, and deliver this month, and so I'm not going to do it next month. Every single month, you got to do it. I promise you, when you do that, you will not lose customers. So now that I've covered bridge, connect, and deliver, you can very easily include an MRR product to help you bridge, connect, and deliver. So what I mean by that is that, let's say, one of your MRR products is the website care plan, right? So every month you're doing something that empowers you to have open lines of communication. That's the bridge part. You have the connect part. So you're able to, your clients know that you care about them and that you have their best interest at heart and that you're doing things for them behind the scenes. And then the third one, deliver. You're getting them results. Like you told them you're going to do X and you deliver X every single month. So MRR, having a good MRR product that is based on the principles of bridge, connect, and deliver makes your life so much easier, and your clients don't cancel because they like you. They recognize the value in what you're doing. So that's ultimately what it is. You can systematize all your deliverables and basically build them with the concept of bridge, connect, and deliver behind the scenes. And once you do all those things, your life gets so much easier. You're going to be able to scale. You're going to make so much more money. You're going to have way more profit. And ultimately, you're going to be able to live the life that you've always dreamed of. So that's our tip for today as to how to grow your monthly recurring revenue to 6 figures or in 60 days or less. And trust me, you can do this. If you pay attention to everything that I said, you price first of all, you position the products correctly. You price them out correctly. You create deliverables that are easy to actually deliver, that you can build SOPs for, and these deliverables have high perceived value and low cost of goods. If you do those 3 things, plus you bridge, connect, and deliver, I promise you, you will grow your monthly recurring revenue probably faster than 60 days. We have a little boot camp that we're doing right now called MRR Academy. We've got like, I think 8 people in the program right now. We're 1 week in. And so we just started week 2. They've already all created their monthly recurring revenue product offerings. Now they're going through the pricing. The end of this week, they'll have all their pricing figured out. They know what their budgets are and how to keep their COGS at the right percentage. And then they're going to go out and they're going to pitch. These folks are going to be at a 6-figure run rate in the next 2 weeks. I promise you, they will be at that in the next 2 weeks. So if you, with the right mentorship, or if you just take these principles and you can figure it out on your own, you will hit a 6-figure run rate very, very quickly. So That being said, let me know if you have any questions. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean so much to me if you could share it with your friends, family, and basically anyone who will find the same value in this episode that you did. And to get the latest from me, then let's definitely connect on social media. You can go to Facebook, facebook.com/Dude Agency, or Instagram @dudeagency.io, or you can check us out on YouTube on our YouTube channel. And then, of course, you can always visit our website at dudeagency.io, where you can see all of our other episodes of Operation Agency Freedom. You can also register for any live trainings that we have going on how to run a highly profitable agency. And of course, you can see how we help digital agencies with the people, the processes, and the education so that they can take on more projects and scale profitably. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.